pero mi meta ahorita es el campeonato mundial contra el que sea. También vi ahí al Pitbull que ganó que acaba de agarrar. Es el interino, pero pues quieren saber quién es el mexicano guerrero. Aquí estoy yo para disputar la pelea.
Obviously, I want the titles, but with Brian, I wouldn't mind the rematch also. But first, I want to take care of the titles. The championship belts is what I want. I noticed that Pitbull has the interim title, so of course, I want to go against and show who the Mexican warrior is.
I'm telling you guys right now, man, we could be leading up to one of the absolute biggest Mexican versus Puerto Rican fights in the history of the sport, my friends, after Oscar Duarte just took care of business last night against Kenneth Sims Jr., my people. Come on. After watching Oscar Duarte, you see his style. Every single time he gets in a fight, he's coming forward nonstop, trying to use his head movement, trying to use his hooks, just like Subriel Matias, who just became your WBC Junior Welterweight champion, my friends, after beating Alberto Puello. You guys, after the fight, you got Oscar coming out and talking about his plan and what he wants to do next. He says he wants to, eventually get that rematch with Ryan Garcia. But he wants to get the titles beforehand. He brings up one name. Pitbull Cruz is another national Mexican just like him. It'll be Chihuahua, Mexico versus Mexico City, Mexico. At 140 pounds for the WBC interim belt that Pitbull Cruz has, my friends, which means it will eventually lead up to a title fight between a come-forward pressure fighter like Oscar Duarte going up against a come-forward pressure fighter, relentless power, in your boy Subriel Matias, my friends. I mean, come on. It'll be an absolute war. It'll probably be one of the greatest fights that we've seen between a Mexican versus a Puerto Rican. This ain't any type of fighter who's trying to use the ring, trying to fight from the outside with his jab. You know for a goddamn fact, Subriel Matias and Oscar Duarte ain't going to be doing that, my friends. Dude. Now the question is, will this actually happen? Because we know Subriel Matias, if you look at, there's a rumored fight where he's supposed to be fighting against Dalton Smith for his bout, my friends. You got the undefeated fighter, 18-0, Dalton Smith, who's going to come in here and try to take Subriel Matias out. Supposedly, this is going to be on the David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde card fight, which is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of fights that we've got on that card is crazy. But that being said, I think Subriel Matias is going to win this fight, my friends. If Oscar Duarte sets up a fight with Pitbull Cruz, maybe possibly in the next 4 months or something, we can be getting that fight, my friends. But it's not going to be until 2026. But I'm telling you guys right now, I am down to wait. Oscar Duarte versus Subriel Matias. This is a super fight, a super clash. Like I said, one of the greatest Mexican versus Puerto Rican fights that we can get. And this is real Mexican versus real Puerto Rican, my friends. Now, I know we dropped that video of Virgil Ortiz and Xander Zayas. And, there's a couple people saying, hey, Virgil Ortiz ain't Mexican. He's from the U.S., which I completely understand. But at the same time, every single time he steps into that ring, the whole raza's backing him up, my friends. So it's basically the same thing. But if you don't want to consider that a real Puerto Rican versus Mexican fight, then you guys, we got something else to be excited for. Now let's just hope that the checkers play the game. Let's just hope everything lines perfectly, my friends, so we'll be able to get Oscar Duarte versus Subriel Matias, a fight that everybody wants to see. Puerto Rican, Mexican, American, Britain, Russian, London, whatever you are, that'll be a W for boxing, my people. Sheesh.